My lawyer begged me not to sign the papers. "Daniel, please," he said. "Someone is rushing you." My brother Mark sat across from me, pretending everything was normal. But when my lawyer pulled one forgotten document from Dad's file, Mark suddenly stopped smiling. 3 weeks earlier, our father had died. I was still grieving when Mark took control of Dad's construction company. He told me Dad wanted him to run the business and promised I would get my share after the sale. Subscribe to Family Betrayal if you enjoy family betrayal stories. The faces and scenes are visual recreations for storytelling only. At the lawyer's office, I was ready to sign. Then my lawyer pointed to a clause I had never seen. "Daniel, this gives your brother control of your entire share." I looked at Mark. He said, "It's just paperwork. We're family." But something felt wrong. My lawyer opened an old folder and pulled out a faded envelope. "This was hidden among your father's records." Inside was a handwritten note from Dad. My hands shook as I read it. "Daniel, if Mark asks you to sign anything after my death, don't." I looked up. Mark's face had gone pale. My lawyer turned the note over. On the back, Dad had written, "Find the original document before you trust your brother." I asked Mark what Dad meant. He stood up without answering. That was when I realized this wasn't about a business sale. My father had been trying to warn me. And whatever that missing document contained, Mark was terrified I would find it. The next morning, I went to Dad's old office. I kept thinking about his warning. Find the original document. I searched every drawer until I noticed the family photograph behind his desk. The frame was loose. Behind it was a small envelope. Inside was a property agreement naming me as the beneficiary of a private trust. The trust would become active if anyone tried to sell the company without my approval. My heart raced. Why had Dad hidden this from Mark? I called my brother. "Where did you find that?" he asked immediately. His reaction told me everything. "You knew about it?" He went quiet. Then he said, "Daniel, leave Dad's office." "Why?" "Because you don't understand what you're looking at." The call ended. I sent a copy to my lawyer. He told me not to confront Mark again. That evening, Mark came to my house. He looked nervous. "Give me the document," he said. I refused. He lowered his voice. Dad knew what I had done. My stomach tightened. "What did you do?" He wouldn't answer. Before leaving, he said, "You don't even have the original." He was right. I only had a copy. That night, an unknown number texted me. "Your father hid the original. Mark is searching for it too." A second message arrived with an old photograph of Dad standing beside a stranger. Under the picture were 5 words. "He knows where it is." Minutes later, someone knocked on my door. I looked through the window. The stranger from the photograph was standing outside. He was holding a folder with my father's name on it. I opened the door carefully. The man looked at me and said, "Your father told me to find you if Mark ever tried to take the company." My heart sank. I knew then that Dad had left behind a secret much bigger than an inheritance. And this stranger was about to tell me everything. The stranger introduced himself as Robert, Dad's former accountant. "Your father knew Mark was moving money." He showed me bank records with large transfers from Dad's company into an account connected to Mark. Then he showed me another document. One of the company's most valuable properties had supposedly been sold, but the sale was never completed. My hands shook. Mark was hiding something much bigger than an inheritance. Robert handed me a sealed envelope. "Your father left this for you." Inside was a letter. Dad wrote that he had discovered suspicious transactions before his death. He feared Mark would destroy the evidence, so he hid the original trust document. Then I read, "Daniel, never sacrifice the truth just to keep peace." At the bottom was an address for an old storage facility. My lawyer met us there. Inside, we found a locked metal box. The original trust document was inside, along with bank statements. Then Robert found a recorder. Dad's voice came through. "If you're hearing this, Mark has tried to take control of the company." I could barely breathe. Dad explained that he had prepared everything because he feared Mark would betray the family. Then the recording stopped. My lawyer found one final document. "Daniel, this proves where the missing money went." Before I could ask anything, my phone rang. It was Mark. "Don't go to court tomorrow." "Why?" "I've already filed a case against you." My stomach dropped. Mark had accused me of stealing Dad's documents. He wasn't just trying to take the company anymore. He was trying to make me look guilty before anyone heard the truth. Tomorrow, we would face each other in court. I walked into the courtroom with my lawyer and the metal box my father had hidden. Mark was already there, looking completely confident. He told the judge that I had stolen company documents and was trying to take property that belonged to him. For a moment, I felt helpless. Then my lawyer stood up. He placed the original trust document on the table. Mark's expression changed instantly. "This is not valid," he said. My lawyer calmly presented the storage records, Dad's signed letter, and the financial documents Robert had preserved. Then he played the recording. My father's voice filled the courtroom. He explained that he had discovered money disappearing from the company and had hidden the original documents because he feared Mark would destroy the evidence. The courtroom went silent. The financial records were examined, and investigators eventually traced the missing money to accounts controlled by Mark. The property he claimed had been sold was still owned by the company, and the papers he had rushed me into signing would have given him control over my share. His entire plan collapsed. The judge canceled the fraudulent transfer and removed Mark from control of the company. Outside the courtroom, Mark stopped me. "Daniel, I'm still your brother." I looked at him and said, "That's exactly why this hurts." Then I walked away. That evening, I returned to Dad's office and placed the original document on his desk. I finally understood what he had been trying to protect. It wasn't just my inheritance. It was the truth. I never celebrated Mark's downfall. I lost a brother that day, even though he was still alive. But Dad taught me something I will never forget. Keeping peace means nothing if it requires you to surrender the truth. If you were in my place, would you have exposed your own brother or protected the family? Tell me what you would have done in the comments. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it. And subscribe to Family Betrayal for more stories of betrayal, secrets, and justice. Sometimes the hardest choice isn't choosing between right and wrong. It's choosing the truth when the person lying to you is someone you love.